Why do avoidants come back after losing you? Do they truly regret it, or is this just a psychological illusion? Have you ever loved someone who always kept their distance, but when you let go, they suddenly returned? What does this mean? Hello, I'm Jim Rohn, and today we're going to uncover this mystery. Avoidants are not simply people who run away from love. They are trapped in a psychological loop full of contradictions. In this video, I will take you deep into ancient mythology, neuroscience, and classic film characters to explore what really happens in their minds when they leave and then come back. But this is not just a story about them. It's also about you. By understanding this mechanism, you will learn how to protect yourself and break free from this cycle. And don't forget, if you find this topic helpful, hit like and subscribe so you won't miss future videos on psychology, love, and personal growth. Who knows? The next video might help you unlock a big question in your life. Now, let's uncover the truth. An avoidant in love can be compared to Prometheus, who stole fire from the gods and was punished by Zeus by being chained to a rock, where each day an eagle would come to eat his liver, only for it to grow back overnight. This was an eternal punishment, a never-ending cycle. Avoidants are also trapped in a similar cycle. They crave love, but as soon as they have it, they feel bound. Just like Prometheus in chains, they leave to reclaim their sense of freedom, but when loneliness strikes, they return. Not because they truly want to commit, but because they seek to soothe the emptiness within themselves. When you are there, they feel suffocated and want to escape. But when you disappear, they feel a sense of loss. Because even though they don't want attachment, they still need some kind of connection to hold on to. They come back not because they have realized your value, but because you represent something familiar, a safe place they can return to when they feel lonely. The issue here is not love or regret, but the psychological mechanism of the avoidant. Their brain functions in a unique way, where the amygdala, the fear processing center, is strongly activated when they feel too much intimacy. For them, closeness and love does not create warmth as it does for securely attached individuals. Instead, it triggers an alarm, urging them to withdraw for self-protection. When they leave, this response temporarily subsides, but the brain then begins to reconstruct memories in an idealized way, forgetting the disagreements and tensions in the relationship and only remembering the sweet moments. This makes them believe that perhaps they have lost something important, that the person they just left was actually a significant part of their life. But once they return, the cycle repeats. As intimacy grows, fear resurfaces, and they want to leave again. This is why avoidants often come back after losing you. They do not return because they have matured emotionally or are ready to change. They come back because they cannot face loneliness, and because you once provided them with dopamine, the hormone that brings happiness and comfort. The danger is that they don't truly want a long-term stable relationship. They only seek a form of connection without commitment, something that doesn't exist in reality. They might send a message like, "How have you been? I miss our conversations," or "I don't know why, but I keep thinking about you." It sounds sincere, but if you pay attention, you'll notice they never actually say they want to rebuild the relationship seriously. They are merely looking for a dopamine fix to ease their emptiness. What you need to understand is that this cycle will not stop unless they consciously decide to change. If you allow them to return without any real transformation, it won't be long before they leave again. They will continue seeking comfort without facing their fear of attachment. The question is, do you really want to stay trapped in this cycle? If you are in this situation, remember that avoidants can only change if they are willing to face themselves. This cannot happen if they continue using relationships as a way to escape their own fears. They need to learn to tolerate closeness without feeling trapped, to understand that love is not about control or loss of freedom, but a journey of growth together. If they truly want a lasting relationship, they must stop running, face their fear of vulnerability rather than avoid it. But this is not your responsibility. You cannot heal them with your love if they do not want to heal themselves. If you keep opening the door for them to return without setting clear boundaries, you will only continue being part of this painful cycle. So instead of waiting for them to change, ask yourself, are you losing yourself just to hold on to someone who is always looking for a way out? We don't have to look far to understand the psychology of avoidance, as classic characters in literature and film serve as perfect examples. They are not heartless or cold as they appear, but people trapped in their own inner conflicts, wanting love yet fearing closeness. Take Jay Gatsby in The Great Gatsby. He is a man living in the past, idealizing his love for Daisy to the point of turning it into an unrealistic dream. Gatsby does not love Daisy for who she truly is, but for the image of Daisy in his mind, a beautiful illusion that never fades. This is precisely the mindset of an avoidant. They do not truly love a person, but rather the feeling that person gives them. As long as a relationship remains unfinished, they can continue nurturing their fantasy about it without having to face real challenges. Similarly, Mr. Darcy in Pride and Prejudice is another example of the avoidant attachment style. At first, he appears cold, arrogant, and seemingly uninterested in love or intimacy. But in reality, beneath his exterior is a man filled with anxiety and fear of being hurt. He does not dare to open his heart because he fears rejection, afraid that if he lets someone into his inner world, they might wound him. When faced with his feelings for Elizabeth, his initial reaction is resistance and distance. Only when forced to confront the truth does he change and allow himself to love sincerely. Another classic example is Don Draper in Mad Men, a man who constantly seeks love, but as soon as he has it, finds a way to leave. Don is mysterious, charming, yet emotionally distant. He can attract anyone, but he cannot maintain a long-term relationship because of his fear of truly opening up. Every time things become too intimate, he self-destructs, walks away, and looks for something new, only to repeat the same cycle again. What do these characters have in common? They all idealize love, but cannot face the reality of a true relationship. For avoidance, love is only beautiful when it exists in the past or remains out of reach. When a relationship becomes real, they feel pressure, anxiety, and the urge to escape. They do not truly believe that anyone can understand and accept them for who they are, so they keep their distance, protecting themselves from potential pain. So, for avoidance, the perfect love is one that has already ended, because then they do not have to face the complicated reality of an actual relationship. They may deeply cherish an ex-lover, yet when they were in the relationship, they could not fully give themselves. They may pursue someone relentlessly, but once they have them, they lose interest. They may leave thinking there is something better out there, only to return later when they realize they have lost something important. And so the cycle continues. When an avoidant comes back after losing you, do not immediately assume that they have truly changed or realize they love you more than before. Their return does not signify an emotional awakening, but is merely a natural psychological response of the avoidant attachment style. They come back not because of love, but because of the emptiness they cannot bear. In reality, there are three main reasons why an avoidant suddenly reappears in your life. They feel safer coming back because you are no longer there to create pressure. When they were in the relationship, they felt trapped, anxious about commitment, and overwhelmed by your desire for intimacy. But when you are no longer there, those pressures disappear. This brings them a sense of relief while also triggering curiosity. Did I lose something important? It is your absence that makes them nostalgic. Not because they have realized you are the one, but because you are no longer an emotional threat. They miss the dopamine from the relationship, not you. While in the relationship, there were moments of joy, passion, and intimacy that triggered dopamine release in their brain, a chemical that creates happiness. After leaving, they may try to find this dopamine elsewhere, through work, new relationships, or personal hobbies. But when nothing quite replicates that feeling, they start to think about you. However, remember, they miss that feeling, not necessarily you as a person. They are affected by the memory idealization effect, forgetting the real conflicts in the relationship. Humans tend to idealize the past, especially when the present is unsatisfying. When the relationship first ends, an avoidant may feel relieved to escape the pressure of commitment, but over time, without having to face the stress, arguments, or overwhelming intimacy, they only remember the good moments. Their brain automatically filters out the negative memories and romanticizes the positive ones, making them believe they might have made a mistake in leaving you. This is why when they come back, they often say things like, "I don't know why, but I keep thinking about you. I miss the moments we shared. We had such a great time together. Maybe I wasn't mature enough to realize this back then." It sounds sincere, but if you pay attention, you will notice they never mention real change or commitment. They only talk about feelings, not actions. What does this mean? Do not mistake longing for true regret. Someone can miss you, but that does not mean they are ready to love you the way you deserve. The question is, can they break free from this cycle? The answer is yes, but only if they are truly ready to face themselves and learn to accept intimacy without seeing it as a threat. And if you love an avoidant, the most important thing is not to get caught up in the illusion that you can save them, because real love is not a chase. It is a connection that comes from both sides. If you are in this situation, the most important thing you need to do is to see reality clearly and set firm boundaries. Avoidants do not change just because they come back. If you do not want to remain stuck in this cycle, remember these principles. They do not change unless they want to change. You cannot help them overcome their fear of commitment if they are not ready to face themselves. You can love them, but you cannot love for them, just as you cannot heal their wounds if they are not willing to do so themselves. Their return does not mean they will stay. Seeing them reappear may give you hope, but if they have not truly addressed their core psychological issues, they will leave again once the pressure returns. You are not Prometheus. You do not have to endure this cycle forever. No one deserves to live in the torment of loving someone while constantly fearing that they will leave. If they cannot commit, let them go. You do not have to continue being prey to this emotional chase cycle. A healthy relationship is not an endless pursuit. If they truly want to be with you, they need to learn how to face their emotions instead of avoiding them. This requires maturity, emotional responsibility, and a willingness to change, things that not everyone can do immediately. Avoidants can learn to love, but only if they are brave enough to face their own fears. Avoidants are not necessarily heartless or incapable of love. They crave connection but are also terrified of intimacy. They do not return because they have changed. They return because they cannot endure the loneliness they themselves created. When intimacy becomes too overwhelming, they run. When loneliness becomes unbearable, they come back. And the cycle continues unless they are truly ready to face their fears and learn to love in a mature way. But more importantly, you cannot be the one to change them. If someone is unwilling to step out of their comfort zone, no amount of love can save them from their inner fears. You do not have to live in uncertainty, waiting for them to return, only to be abandoned again. You deserve a love that is not a chase but a real relationship where both partners are ready to give and receive. So, if you find yourself trapped in a cycle with an avoidant, ask yourself, is this the love you want, or just a habit that you cannot let go of? Thank you for watching this video until the end. If what I shared helped you understand love and attachment psychology better, don't forget to hit like and subscribe so you won't miss more insightful content. And I want to hear your thoughts. Have you ever loved an avoidant? Did they come back after leaving? Share your story in the comments below because your experience might help someone out there feel less alone. See you in the next video.